In the wrestling world, the people are represented by two separate but unequally important groups. The wrestlers and bookers, who literally do all the hard work, and the fans, who endlessly nitpick and overanalyze everything they do. These are their stories. Welcome to Raw and Order, the wrestling booking unit, the only wrestling podcast on the planet that just launched their own merch shop.
Hey!
Link will be in the show notes.
Less than 5 minutes ago.
Right before pressing record, basically.
Yeah.
Link will be in the doobly-doos show notes. It's already up on Twitter. You can find it. But if you're just listening and you want to just type it in at shop.spreadshirt.com/Raw and Order WBU. So we got some merch.
Didn't just have Raw and Order. Didn't just have Raw and Order.
I could have made it just Raw and Order, but our full show name is Raw and Order WBU. Back off,
Yeah,
man.
for this show. What about on Tuesday when we record?
It is
We're
Raw
all
and Order
snap
WBU,
judges.
a visit from the FBI. It's all there.
To be fair, Raw and Order WBU makes it very special because when I put Raw and Order on a lot of other podcasts, there's a heck ton of other shows. When I put WBU, we're number one, baby.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Because here's the deal: Raw and Order, can refer to people who like raw vegan food, all that stuff. But when you get that WBU, that wrestling booking unit in there, that makes us unique, yo. Anyways, but so head on over there, look at the merchandise. We don't have a ton of products up right now. We're just launching them. But
SMH.
Yeah. I am Detective Mark Smarks. I'm joined, as always, by my partner in crime fighting, District Attorney Vincent K. Faye. What's going on, man? How are you?
Great. I'm excited about the launch. I'm excited to get a t-shirt or 2 or 7. I'm excited to show off the t-shirts. I'm excited to announce that level of growth that we've had recently. Just everything. There's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of excitement here.
Also joining us, our brother from another nation, RCMP JLB. What's going on?
It's me. It's Justin JLB. Not much, guys. It's still quarantine times. We're still isolated. We're still doing this podcast. We're still watching wrestling. So you know what? Same as usual.
Awesome. I would like to remind everyone that Raw and Order WBU is part of the Tatnus Co. podcast network. So once you're done listening to this, and of course, liking, sharing, and subscribing, head on over to tatnusco.com and check out the other shows in the network. We've got Tatnus Podcast Uncensored. We got Chicken Hen with S&M. We got In the Dicebox Slam. We got Basement Bullshit. We got Carpool Shenanigans. They're even adding more shows all the time. So head on over there, check them out. And then come on back to us for the next episode. We're going to go ahead and get on to the crimes because we actually have a very, very special announcement at the end of the episode. So I want to stay tuned for that. It's sort of in conjunction with the merch shop announcement, but it's big. So it's big. It's really big stuff. You've never seen anything so big. It is the biggest announcement you've ever seen.
That's what she said.
Gonna be huge.
It's gonna be huge.
Enormous.
It's the best announcement. I don't know about other people. Other people might have announcements, but I've been talking to people and they say that this announcement is the best announcement they've ever heard. It is a big deal. It is a really, really big deal.
It's almost as big as the fact that you can shoot up sunlight now.
Yes.
It's that big.
Exactly. Shoot it right in your veins. Put the sunlight right inside you. Right. It's a big deal. You put the sunlight in. You put the disinfectant in. You're clean. No more corona. Big announcement.
That was good.
We're going to move on to start off with crime number 1. I think we're going to put a DA fave for the first crime. So what's going on?
Well, the first crime is that my drawer wouldn't open, but now that's taken care of, so I don't have to worry about that. Second crime has to do with one Byron Saxton. Byron Saxton, good sir, your vocabulary that you're going to use in professional wrestling, and I left this off of the snap judgment so I could use it as a crime tonight. The word is nip it in the bud.
What did he say?
Nip it in the... Smarks, you got this one? You gotta know. You gotta know. Even if you didn't watch, you gotta know. Nip it in the butt.
The butt. Yeah. Oh, I didn't. I kind of zone out when Byron Saxton talks. I gotta be honest.
But it's nip it in the butt, isn't it? Nip it in the butt.
Nope.
No,
it's bud.
Bud.
It's a pruning reference to when you would have to prune the bad parts off of like a rose plant. Right, so you've got bad buds growing. You nip off the bad buds to stop the bad buds from growing, and so that the good buds. So it's nip it in the bud.
And my frustration isn't. My frustration isn't that somebody got it wrong. My frustration is that a announcer got it wrong. Your job is to have a solid vocabulary that is usable and correct. And you said nip it in the butt. Nip it in the butt. Yep. That's right up there with...
People make that mistake, though. I feel like a lot of people make that mistake.
But to me, it's right up there with, for all intents for all intensive purposes. It's intents and purposes.
Yeah.
For all intensive purposes. Byron Saxton gets way too much heat, though, man, all the time, even just by the announcer. So the poor guy, he makes a little mistake like that. You gotta give him a break. That's your crime, really?
That's my crime, because you're supposed to be a professional and at a level of journalism. This is not a mistake that. This might be a mistake that John Madden would make, but it's not a mistake that Joe, I can't remember his last name, would make. Or any of the Boomer, none of those guys would make that mistake. Sure, there are some that would, but they'd also catch flack for it right there live,
While I don't necessarily disagree with your crime, I'm going to point out that it was just a few weeks ago that you guys both gave me a bunch of crap for being nitpicky, and then you come here with a crime about semantics. So I'm just saying, being nitpicky is part of our job. That's all I'm saying.
And really, you're going to put that crime over Jerry Lawler?
Yeah.
Mr. Ramen Noodles himself?
Yep. I would ramen noodle moonsault.
I would take Jerry Lawler and all of his oopsie racial accidents because he's old. No, I wouldn't. I'd take him over Byron Saxton, though.
And he defended it on his podcast.
Byron Saxton is a wrestling Bryant Gumbel without skill.
See, I don't know if I go quite that far. For me, Byron Saxton, the big thing with he's just boring. He just is a mess to me.
Well, and then you mix him with Tom Phillips, and it's just, Morrow, please go to the building in a plastic bubble to do commentary.
But no, I don't like to say I don't disagree.
We'll get more ramen noodle stuff from Jerry the King Lawler, because according to Jerry the King Lawler, that's where it all started from, when he did stuff with the Morrow back in 2016. So let's not give Jerry Lawler another excuse for saying more racial stuff and then defending it afterwards. Obviously, I'm really PO'd with what Jerry Lawler had to say.
Well,
because at Collie,
I'm PO'd that Jerry Lawler has a job at all. Not even with this thing.
He's just a sexual pig.
He is. I didn't like him, and we've talked about it before, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I didn't like him in the 90s. I didn't like him in the early 2000s. At least in the
90s, it felt like a shtick.
I didn't like him in the early 2000s. I even go back and watch some of his, older stuff, his Memphis stuff, and didn't like it then. He is a dirty old man, and even when he was a young man, he was a dirty old man. And I don't like his shtick, and I don't like his whole thing. And frankly, I think there are...
Puppies? Puppies! You didn't like that?
Nope, didn't like it.
I thought, but at least then it felt like a shtick. Now it feels like you're just inept. It's kind of like JR a little while back said Oriental.
Yeah.
And I was just like, ugh.
Yeah, I've heard that, and and I've said before, I like JR. I think he's got a lot to give the business, but I think what he has to give the business now is not on commentary. It's backstage. It's podcast. His Grilling with JR podcast is phenomenal. his capabilities backstage as both a mentor and a talent scout and all that stuff, phenomenal. Him on the mic, yeah. And you know, that's coming from a mediocre podcast host like myself. So
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal. You get paid upwards of 6 digits. Probably not 7 digits as commentary, but probably in the double 6 digits, probably in the 200,000 plus range. To be a reasonable commentator, you can get heat. Corey Graves does this all the time. Gets heat without making racial remarks or sexist remarks. He makes a little bit of a sexist remark regarding Mandy Rose, probably written by Vince, because Vince is a sexist pig as well. All right, I'll give it that. There's nobody to give heat to in Saxton and Tom Phillips, except for the fact that they just aren't enjoyable. There's just nothing fun about Tom Phillips and Byron Saxton.
I don't know. I feel like Todd Phillips is kind of like a Michael Cole, though. Like, it's going to take a little time to get there, but I feel like he could be the next Michael Cole.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't disagree with that at all. I've actually called him Michael Cole light numerous times. But he's also light on the skill set. Michael Cole was able to take a week's worth, an entire episode with co-speakers sitting next to him, and that's it. That was all there was just guest commentary, and fill it so much better than Saxton and Tom Phillips, who are supposed to have chemistry because they're working together, have ever filled. And
but
Cole did
you're
it
talking about a guy with 30 years experience compared to a guy with like 3. Totally different.
in Tom Phillips or Byron Saxton.
No, I'm saying when you're comparing Michael Cole to Todd Phillips or Byron Saxton. Byron Saxton's probably like 7, but still.
Yeah. Well, it's crap, and at a certain point, you have to know where you're usable. And I would, again, I know that Smarks is going to get upset about this. I'd rather hear JBL come in and get the heat that he can get, because if JBL, who is, there's been remarks about him being racist in the past, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's definitely racist.
Yeah, and totally a bully. 110% a bully. That part's done and over with.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know how racist he is, but for sure the dude can pull heat with just pulling heat. You know, just by being a jackass. Taz can do it. You know, in Tom Phillips and Byron Saxton, they're both Bryant Gumbly. There's just no heat there at all for either of them, and so you have these likable, lacking in character development, commentary. I mean, that aren't exceptional. I mean, at the end of the day, Marvin Hollow is exceptional at his job, so it doesn't have to be super face or super heel or anything like that. Yeah, he's just good. He's just really, really good. He's good enough that he talks over Nigel and Beth.
Yeah, straight up.
But that's okay for him to do there, because he is the lead commentator and the other two are contributing commentators, and that's I think that's fine. I really do. I'd kill to have Renee Young with.
I know. I want Renee Young back though. Like, I thought she was decent enough.
Yeah, something to get out of Byron Saxton, man. I just don't care for him at all.
No, but honestly though, I really feel like it's getting worse, because no matter who you put Byron with, it seems like the announcers are always on him. Like, they're always making fun of him every 5 seconds. And I'm like, WWE, don't you have like an anti-bullying campaign? Like, this is just borderline bullying, because no matter where Byron goes with, he's the butt of the joke.
Because it's nip it in the bud.
But prior to
are you sure
he is the bud of the joke? Because he nips it in the butt.
Bud of the joke? Yeah.
It's the bud of the butt. Which one is it for that one? It's
the butt.
That one's the butt.
But okay. The booty.
He's the bootay of the great bootay of the joke.
There we go.
And I'm not trying to rip. I mean, I am trying to rip on him because I don't want to hear him anymore, and I have to listen to that show every week, or watch that show every week, and I have to hear Byron Saxton during COVID-19. just really want Morrow back. That said, I would.
Who's the original commentating team?
What's that?
Who's the original commentating team?
Morrow,
Isn't it
Nigel,
still-
and Beth.
No, but Byron's also doing Raw too, no?
Yeah, they moved Byron to Raw, so it is
Tom Byron.
Jerry, Tom Byron, and Jerry is Raw.
Yeah, I just don't get Jerry on NXT.
Right, okay, fair enough, yeah.
So anyway, I don't know. I'm not trying to be overly nitpicky, and I do apologize, Smarks, for lighting you up for that. But it's just rough, very, very rough to listen to Byron Saxton every week. I should also say that I picked a little bit on NXT on the cruiserweights, and yeah, this is me plugging that particular podcast. Mostly because I haven't listened to you guys this week, so I apologize.
How dare?
Ow. It's okay. It's not like you listened to my NXT review.
I did, technically. I uploaded that on YouTube and I listened to it, so
Oh, well. I'm an asshat. Maybe
Yep.
I would be a better asshole commentator than Byron Saxton.
Oh, for sure.
I would almost guarantee that I'd be better at it, at being an asshole. I would say a lot more, though. So, that said, the cruiserweight matches this week, any takes on those before we go on to the next crime? Because I thought we really just need to get to a point where either you put the belt on Kushida or you play the emotional card for Drake Maverick.
No, the Drake Maverick thing's going to be one of my misdemeanors later, so I'm
Okay.
holding off on that. But no, my take on the cruiserweight matches is
There's just not a lot of people to invest in here.
Yeah, I feel like, and this is the way that the cruiserweight championship matches often go, or whenever they have any sort of tournament. I feel like the wrong people almost always are winning.
I can tell you, Jake Atlas beating Drake Maverick is the wrong person winning.
Yes.
Kushida beating Drake Maverick, I understand. Jake Atlas, no.
Well, that's the deal is before the whole Drake Maverick getting fired thing, Jake Atlas beating Drake Maverick should never have happened. Afterwards, I give it a little bit of a pass. But you've got
Barely.
El Hijo de Fantasma debuting and beating Jack Gallagher. Really?
Yeah.
And I'm just livid that someone in WWE booking does not realize what a talent they have in Jack Gallagher. He is so charismatic and so good.
Oh, yeah.
And even with his new, I'm digging his new, when you see the tattoo, I'm coming for blood sort of gimmick.
In my opinion, there should only be one of four should be the ones that come out of this. Gallagher, Tozawa, Kushida, or Drake Maverick. I like Tony Nese just fine, and he does play a great asshole. I don't know. I'm not. That's all I mean. I shouldn't say great asshole. He plays a good asshole, and that's the problem. Is he's only good at being a prick. So anyway, that's not my actual crime. I wanted to make sure I wasn't alone on the. I felt something wasn't right here. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, especially, don't get me wrong, Kushida should have won. That's hands down, that's the way that should go, right?
Yeah.
But to have Jack Gallagher lose to a person that the WWE Universe has literally never seen before. And I'm not saying he's not good. I'm not saying he's not the up-and-coming next star. I'm just saying that we need to see him first before you have him start a run, right?
Sure.
Or at the very least have him start a run beating
Tony Nese.
Not Jack Gallagher, right?
Well, and so that's all. Is that to you? Doesn't it seem like he's supposed to be a good guy with the whole kidnapping thing, and he avoids being kidnapped? And I feel like he's supposed to be a face. And if he's supposed to be a face, you could have put him in a different bracket to be not beat by other people. I don't know. It wasn't the crime. We shouldn't spend too much time on it. It was really just filler because my crime was crap, and I'm okay with that. So I'll give JLB a pass on my crime was crap, but god dang, I just nip it in the butt on national television. Wow. Come on, man.
By the way,
be a
apology
professional.
accepted.
Oh yeah, because I apologize to you for picking on you a couple weeks ago. I'm gonna do that again though, just so you know.
Yeah, you will.
I'm going to nitpick your nitpickiness. So I may nitpick your nitpickiness later tonight.
You very well might. I don't know. Maybe not. So, like I said, I agree. I just, for the most part, my crime filing against Byron Saxton is he's boring. Like, he doesn't, in my mind, he doesn't bring anything really to the table.
It's weird because he's kind of energetic. He's kind of, he gets involved with things when the new day comes out. But, like, what is missing? Like, it's weird because he's probably one of the more energetic announcers that they have.
He's a dork.
But what's wrong with dork? Usually dork. Michael Cole's a dork.
Michael Cole's a knowledgeable dork. He's not. No, there's a big difference between a dork and a nerd. A dork has no knowledge, doesn't bring anything for you. A geek is tech. A nerd has some knowledge about whatever they're in, and a dork. Yeah, nobody wants to be around him. Even nerds are like, geez, here comes Dave.
He doesn't bring anything to the table.
He's Byron.
He's just bland. He doesn't have the it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so great. You're bringing a bunch of fake energy to a fake sport. Real pro wrestling.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. And now, ladies and gentlemen, you now know the difference between dork and nerd. You are welcome.
And geek.
Yep. Now,
on the hierarchy of things, nerds usually are just geek out about certain things.
Fair.
We're nerds for pro wrestling. Smarks is a nerd for lots of sci-fi stuff. Pretty much everything sci-fi.
I am a nerd for most nerdy things, but yes. Here's a fun side note for you. The word dork used to be banned on television.
Oh.
You could not call someone a dork on TV. The Brady Bunch couldn't call each other dorks because dork originally stands for a whale's penis.
Oh, snap.
Which is saying penis on television. Penis. Vagina.
Jesus.
Anyway,
I give it a 10, and F a 10.
We will move on to crime number 2, and I don't know if JLB's ready, so maybe
Yeah, I'm ready. I'll do this. I'll get her done. You know what? Before I forget, I honestly am putting a crime on the Triple H 25th anniversary.
I don't blame you there. Don't blame you at all.
And it's not necessarily Triple H's fault or Shawn Michaels, because I think they, if anything, made it at least halfway decent. But it might even be more of a crime against Vince McMahon, because boy, was he weird, man. Like, his comments, like, he kind of was just going all over the place, and then randomly mentioning the Bailey segment and the gobbledygooker, and you can just tell, and I felt when he was talking about certain things, about it being boring and wrap it up, and Triple H this, and the Katie Vick, and whatever, like, certain things, I felt like he was so serious, but Triple H was laughing, so I guess Vince just has that weird sense of humor, that you only really get once you actually know him. So I was like, cool story, bro, fine. But it was just weird. Like, I loved when Vince said that he loved his son-in-law. I enjoyed that. That was cool. I think that was the most heartfelt we felt from Vince McMahon. I thought that was awesome. I'm sure Triple H enjoyed that. I like the joke.
I wish you would have said that he loved it, that Triple H was the son he never had. That would have been funny.
Yeah.
So,
the backstage notes that I read online, someone backstage report. Yeah, it was all improv, but basically they say that the feeling around backstage is that after all of the events with the XFL and all of this stuff and the absolute murdering that WWE and Vince McMahon got in the press after firing 100 employees in the middle of a pandemic, they earned that slandering in the press, that slamming, but he just doesn't give an F right now, and that was just all improv, and I think the exact quote is, "Don't give an F, Vince is going to be interesting." So no, the whole thing, not even just the Vince McMahon, the whole thing, it was boring overall. It was all of the bad things about unscripted promos and none of the good things about it.
But look, you had first. I mean, it started off well. You had the Triple H coming out with the water bottle. The guy
That was
said
the only good thing about it. The water bottle bit was, I was going to bring it up, the water bottle bit was phenomenal. That was great.
the blooper thing with the WrestleMania losses. I enjoyed that. That was okay. The FaceTiming was maybe a bit too stretched out. You could have maybe have just done the Stephanie McMahon one, and then tried to do something else. I liked HBK. Like, his jokes were awesome. I invited everybody out to your party, and here's everybody who shows up. No one. Oh, but you have the two commentators. Oh, yeah, but I think they're required to be here. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I kind of enjoyed it. It's just the FaceTime, I feel, kind of maybe messed things up. And then Vince shutting the lights off, which HBK, by the way, saved when the crickets came and Triple H was like, do you hear crickets? Well, that's just the sound of your entire career, H. That's or something like that.
To me, the ending was fine. I was bored through most of it, and I gotta be honest, I was almost screaming at my TV. Triple H, you've been in wrestling for 25, well, more than 25 years, but you've been in WWE for 25 years, right? And you don't know not to answer your phone during live TV? Come on, man. I don't care if it's your wife calling. You're on air, right?
By the way, I felt like it wasn't actually live.
Oh, I'm 100% sure that was all pre-recorded.
Yeah, for sure.
Or at the very least, she was literally standing backstage watching the monitors as she did it to make sure the timing was right.
Right.
But, you know, it was obvious that Flair wasn't backstage, so that was, I guarantee, pre-recorded.
Yeah, for sure.
No, the whole thing, like, don't get me wrong, the video packages were fine because they'd had time to do all that. But the back and forth between Triple H and HBK, like, it was all the bad things that come with unscripted promos and none of the good things.
Social distancing? Like, come on, that was hilarious. I don't know. But yeah, it was some there. Why did Vince McMahon even bring up the Bayley thing? Like,
because he don't give an F.
Right. Oh man, like, Jesus. I feel like Bayley's gonna end up losing the title to Tamina. I feel like at Money in the Bank, that's what's going down. Because that was so hard.
Just
also, the Katie Vicks. Do we actually know who produced the Katie Vick? Like, whose idea the Katie Vick angle was? Was that a Vince McMahon thing?
I honestly don't remember.
Okay.
I know I listened to the How to Wrestling on the Katie Vick Triple H, but I don't remember if they even talked about who produced it or not. It was a bad gimmick angle.
Poor taste, for sure. So, but again, like I mentioned on my SmackDown thing as well, if it was live, there would be so many things that would have been different. There would have been obviously more energy. We obviously wouldn't have seen Vince come out. He wouldn't have slobbered. Like, it would have been completely different. The entire production, and it would have obviously have not been all improv or any of it improv either. And of course, we would have probably seen DX come in, his best friends come in, and so on. With what they have or what they can do, it's understandable, but I still feel like I could have done more.
Yeah, I was, it's just one of those things. They haven't done that for anyone else for 25 years in wrestling.
Right. Well, they mentioned that too with HBK.
Yeah, but I was, for the most part, I was just bored by it. I was like, oh, they're doing this. Okay, we could have had a whole nother wrestling match during this time. No, we're gonna gab blah blah blah, Triple H blah blah blah, wrestling blah blah blah.
Valid.
Fair enough.
Like I said, the only thing that I liked was the when he went to spit the water and the guy just took the water bottle out of his hand. That was good.
Very but that's it. That's
okay.
Yeah, not a great segment as a whole.
Yep.
So
not a good segment. Not a segment that should have been played.
Yep.
So Vince gets charged on that, and that's my go-to.
Okay. Well, my crime goes over to, well, it's involving AEW. Big surprise. Crime over AEW.
Wow,
but it's actually against a section of fans out there. And the fans are the fans who, and many of them probably fall in the Cult of Cornette segment. So I'm going after them again. But there's a section of fans out there that I've been kind of following on Twitter since this episode. And Dave Meltzer has been a part of this. So And I'm not a huge Dave Meltzer guy either, but he has some very interesting points on that. But there's a whole section of fans that I'm coming after. They're angry at the Omega versus Alan Angels match on Dynamite. Did you guys both get to watch Dynamite yet?
No.
Okay. I didn't think so. So I'll just kind of cover it really quick.
Wait, which match?
Kenny Omega versus Alan Angel.
Oh snap! No, I didn't watch
So
that.
Alan Angels is not a name that we know.
Yeah, this is the one that went longer, and people think that Omega shouldn't have had the issues that he had.
Exactly. Now, you say it went longer. The match was 6 minutes long.
It went longer than a squash typically does.
It went longer than a squash typically did. But I actually, in my review, praised this match for this reason, right? Now, there was never a point in that match that Omega didn't have it firmly in hand, right? They even on commentary said Omega's just toying with this guy, right? But he had this match that he made this unknown guy, Alan Angels, look like a star, right? Or at least an up-and-coming star. He made him look good. He never looked like he was in danger of losing, but at the same point, just like Michigan didn't think they were in danger of losing to Appalachian State those years ago, there's always a chance sort of thing.
Right.
But these people have just gone off about how, oh no, a real star would never do this to an enhancement talent. Enhancement talent is there just to make the talent look good. They're not supposed to look good versus the talent. And I disagree. Number one, the best enhancement matches are the ones that show off the talent. Not just make them look good, but show them off, right? Every enhancement match has a person in it who eventually wants to be not an enhancement talent, right? No one wants to be Barry Horowitz for their entire career. Barry Horowitz didn't want to be Barry Horowitz for his entire career.
I would be Barry Horowitz for my entire career if I wrestled. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I'm sure he was okay with it in the end. He had a great career, but it wasn't his plan from the beginning. He didn't want to be enhancement talent. He wanted to be the main eventer. He wanted to be the star, right? And that's where it comes down to. You've got to make these up-and-comers look like they're at least something of a threat, but there wasn't a point in this match where Kenny Omega looked like he was going to lose. There were just points where he was like, oh, I have to step it up a bit. This guy's got an answer for that. Normally I would just be able to beat him with this, but he's got it. Or, I'm going to toy with him a bit. I'm going to do this. But these people were going off, and eventually they were like, he kicked out of the V-trigger. No one should kick out of the V-trigger. And I go, everyone kicks out of the V-trigger.
All the time, yeah.
Everyone does. The V-trigger's not his finisher. It's hardly even his signature move. It is a setup move at best. His best matches, he delivers like 20 of them. It's roughly like, saying, oh, someone kicked out of the back body drop. Of course they did. It's a setup for another move, right? He didn't kick out of the one-winged angel. That's Kenny Omega's finisher. And so far, there's only been one person who's ever kicked out of it, ever. And that was Kota Ibushi.
Okada. Oh, I thought it was Okada.
Nope. Okada didn't kick out of it.
Okada got out of the setup for it several times.
Got out of the setup for it many a time. Yeah, but that's the whole brilliance of the one-winged angel is that the move itself is so devastating, but the setup is so intricate that it's so hard for him to actually hit the move on someone. It is almost the opposite of the RKO out of nowhere sort of a thing.
Yeah, it really is.
It is if I can find a way to hit you with this, the game is over, but it is so difficult to actually do it. I have to do all this other stuff to set it up. And that builds the drama in the match. But that's why I loved this match with Alan Angel, because it made Alan Angels look like someone that I was like, hey, they should maybe think about signing him, even if he's just going to be a enhancement talent. Even if they're going to put him on the Dark Order and have him be a minion for a while, right? That's fine. He looked good. He looked like a real wrestler. He looked like he belonged in the ring. Unlike when you turn on, both Raw and SmackDown had matches, mostly on Raw, I think, had matches with enhancement talent. right? Just local talent that came in. And in this case, they were local talent as in NXT signed wrestlers who hadn't been used on TV. But neither of them looked like they had a chance in those matches. They were there and they just got squashed. And so when you saw them come out, you didn't ever think, oh, they might have a shot. But there were points in the Alan Angels match that I thought, I could see them booking an upset. I didn't think they were going to. I never was scared that Omega was going to lose. He never looked scared. He looked confident the entire time. It was just, this didn't work, so now I'm just going to have to step my game up a little bit more. Do a little bit more. Do a little bit. But these people, I mean, literally, Dynamite was on Wednesday. We're recording this on Sunday. Half an hour ago, I checked on Twitter, and there were people still talking about this match on Twitter about, Omega just isn't the star that he should be because of this stupid booking. And I go, are you kidding me? He put on a 6-star match not too long ago with Hangman Page. He's put on some of the best matches in AEW in the last 3 months, right? Yes, they don't have him portrayed as the main event killer right now because they're choosing to highlight other characters, right? To be perfectly honest, if they'd have come in and started up AEW and immediately put the belts on the Young Bucks, the belts on the heavyweight belt on Kenny Omega, and
or Cody
or Cody, yep. But either one of those, these same people would be saying, "Oh, these people are just doing like WCW. They just come in, they just start it up so they can put themselves in the belts." Right? They're in a lose-lose kind of choice there, but they're trying to do the best. Kenny Omega is focusing a lot on the women's division. He's focusing on building talent, and this was a perfect example of this man going above and beyond to make a wrestler who's not currently signed to AEW look like a quality wrestler. You know what's going to happen now? Alan Angels is going to start booking bigger matches in the indies, right? He's going to move up the card. He's going to become a bigger star because of this match. Because now his name is out there. Now people know his name, right? Because it was said on national TV and he looked like he belonged there. This is building up the stars of the future.
He also didn't have to have a fake name.
No, he got to use his real name, although they didn't call him Eagles a few times.
Well,
mostly that was Chris Jericho being a jerk, but no, that was my thing. It was like Omega understands that the stars of tomorrow start off as the enhancement talent of today, right? So why not let the guy look good in a match, even in loss? That's all it comes down to, right? So what? He kicked out of the V-trigger. Everyone and their dog kicks out of the V-trigger. If they put me in a match with Kenny Omega, I would get my ass kicked, but they would still let me kick out of the V-trigger because nobody gets pinned by the V-trigger. That's the way it is. It's not his finisher.
I don't think you'd pass the physical.
No, I wouldn't.
Passing a wrestling police officer physical is very, very different from passing an actual wrestler physical.
Yeah, they almost give anyone a license. It's weird.
To be a wrestling police officer?
No, to be a police cop.
You can just go online to shop.spreadshirt.com/lawandorderwbu and join the police academy right now. You don't even have to sign any forms or anything. No physical. Get the shirt.
You have to hit the button.
You have to hit the button. You have to enter some information, including some payment information, and then miraculously in a few days or week you get a shirt and now you're in the police academy. It's so simple. No, I'd be out of breath just walking down the ramp. That's not the point. My point is, in the match, he would hit me with a V-trigger, I'd still get my shoulder up, and then he'd hit me with something even more devastating, like a surprise roll-up, and I'd get pinned. That's the way it would work.
Let's pray to God he doesn't put you into the one-winged angel.
No, I'd be dead. He'd be hurting.
You would fall.
Yeah, he'd be hurting because I'm a hefty boy.
I'm sure he can do it.
I'm not saying he couldn't.
I'm going to go ahead and say challenge. Challenge made Kenny Omega to put Smarks in the one-winged angel and not let him fall backwards as he's trying to balance on your shoulders properly.
Oh, they're going to come to Omaha someday, and he's going to be like, I heard the challenge. And my wife is going to be like, no. And I'm going to be like, I made a promise. And then I'm going to die.
Hey, no, it's blame.
You're going to die doing what you love, bud. You're going to die doing what you love.
Indeed.
Sitting on Kenny Omega's shoulders. That's the thing that you love, just for future reference.
He's so dreamy.
Dream.
I had no clue that this conversation was going there tonight. I'm glad it went there, but I had no clue that it was going there tonight.
So that's my charge. My charge is against those fans who are, and don't get me wrong, I understand. It's even in the intro to these shows. Wrestling fans will needlessly nitpick everything out there. But is this really the hill you want to die on? Kenny Omega had a 6-minute long match versus a enhancement talent where he made the talent look good, but still won handily without having... He didn't even have to hit his finish, right?
Smarks, we just had a guy complain about nip it in the butt with Bud. Okay, so yes, to answer your question, yes, we are going to complain about this because it is Twitter. And people complain about everything nowadays. And I don't think Kenny Omega is affected in any way, shape, or form. He knows what he's doing. He's helped out Angel, and he's good. That's it.
I will point out, however, that yes, we did have a charge for nip it in the butt, but that was just one. I mean, it's not like DA Fabe has been on Twitter for 4 days tweeting about it, right?
Well, we don't know. We'll just have to wait.
I even left it alone on NXT, man. Like
These people are just sitting at their keyboards like rabid dogs. I can't believe it. Blah, blah, blah. Meltzer, you're just an AEW mark because you won't even call him out on this. Blah, blah, blah. No one else would ever do this. Flair did it all the time.
That's actually what made Flair amazing, was that he would do 1 hour long matches, not take the win or the loss, with a relative unknown from wherever he was wrestling that week. So
it goes on and on, and like I say, they're still talking about it. And I was like, really? Is this the hill you want to die on? There are so many other things to be pissed off at in professional wrestling. And if you want to be pissed off at Orange Cassidy for existing, I guess I understand it. But this wasn't a weird gimmick. This was someone doing something that has been done in professional wrestling for generations. Established stars will sometimes make the enhancement talent look good. You know why? Because it makes them look good in the long run.
It makes them not enhancement talent forever.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, though,
go ahead.
You guys are kind of hypocrites too, because at the same time, you were just complaining about the whole Jack Gallagher situation, where Jack Gallagher or Gallagher, whatever his name is, lost to a guy that had just started on NXT.
Well, no, because here's the deal. I didn't say that he shouldn't have made El Hijo de Fantasma look great. I said he shouldn't have lost to him. You can still make him look great in a victory, just like I'm saying that Kenny Omega made him look great in a victory, right? El Hijo de Fantasma is a phenomenal wrestler, and he's got a long career ahead of him. He's got a long career behind him. He's been doing it for a long time. In WWE, in NXT, he is a total newborn. He should lose. Jack Gallagher has been there for long, and he's phenomenal. So you should give him a run. Jack Gallagher hasn't had a run with the championship, period.
Right.
This isn't...
I mean, I didn't even realize, like, I messaged you guys. I'm like, guys, who is this guy? Like, he has the same name as Gentleman Jack, and I totally didn't realize of the crazy transformation that he did. Totally, just mind-boggled. Didn't even realize. You had to show me his Twitter. I'm like, wait, this is the same guy? Are you sure? Da-da-da. Like, total transformation. Hot diggity damn.
Love
he definitely is a push.
Love Jack Gallagher. Don't love him being called Jack Gallagher. I feel like that's Gallagher everywhere but WWE.
It's so weird. I was listening to a wrestling podcast. I think it was How to Wrestling. No, it was Wrestle Talk. They went off, this was months ago, about how...
I know which one you're talking about.
They were like, we didn't realize that Americans pronounced it Gallagher. And I'm like, nope, I'm an American. I've lived here my entire life. I've never heard it pronounced Gallagher until I turned on NXT. I don't know where that comes from, but it's Gallagher.
205 Live.
Yeah, but it's Gallagher. It's always been Gallagher. I grew up with Gallaghers in my...
And they pronounced it Gallagher
before.
They pronounced it Gallagher when he was with the umbrella and the stash, though. I don't think it was Gallagher at that time. So they, for some reason, just changed the name.
No, they've been pronouncing it Gallagher for at least 3 years.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Anyways, so, no, and that's what I'm saying. I didn't say that Jack Gallagher shouldn't have made El Hijo de Fantasma look great. They should have had a 20-minute long match or a 12-minute long match and looked phenomenal and all of this stuff. I'm just saying that I thought the wrong person won. That's a different reaction than saying...
If Omega lost, that's an entirely different situation. Then I'm on board and still tweeting. I may even tweet to begin with, and that's a pretty big move for me because I don't really use the Twitterverse. So, I have to agree with you. It's very, very different to say, hey, it's okay to make somebody look good. And occasionally, when you have a new star, but it's not like he came out and suddenly he was this Phantasma was this machine that just, oh my gosh, this is going to change the tournament altogether.
He didn't come out and Goldberg it.
No.
Right.
And that's the only way you do that, in my opinion. I mean, you do a Ryback, you do a Goldberg. You don't have him go up against one of the top 8 that you're saying is in the tournament. These are the top 8, and if that's the top 8, no wonder that division's not doing well. Not anything against the guys in it, but there's guys that it's just not that enjoyable to watch. Just not that great to watch these guys in some of that. Kenny Omega is always enjoyable to watch. He's going to draw, and he's going to bring fans, and quite frankly, it's going to be a good match. And he proved it against the blow-up doll, against this guy, against Angel.
Girl.
Like a mop. Like, he puts on 3-star matches bare minimum. And that's against inanimate objects.
Mm-hmm. That's my point, is he's had a long history of making people look good who shouldn't, air quotes, shouldn't look good against him. That's kind of his gimmick.
Quite frankly, I don't know that we have, without Kenny Omega, because just recently I watched a podcast. I want to say it was What Culture that did it, maybe not, but a review of the top 10 feuds of the last decade. And Kenny Omega was second with his Kazuchika Okada. Was it Okada? Yeah, he went up against Okada. And then Okada was second and first. His other one was, who is his other big feud with in Japan? You just mentioned the one that kicked out of the One-Winged Angel.
Kota Ibushi was a recent one, so that would be a big one. He recently had one with Jay Wyatt, was another good one.
I think it was Ibushi. So Okada, when you have that, I don't know that Okada's as good as we see without it. I don't think Kenny Omega's other feud that was on that list was with Chris Jericho. Yes, Chris Jericho's great either way. I don't know that we are as in love with Chris Jericho being Le Champion when he was Le Champion. If he didn't prove that he still had it less than a year ago in New Japan. So if you're really wrestling marks, you know some of these things. You don't know them all because it's impossible to watch the whole world worth. But if you're really a wrestling mark, you know that, I want to use somebody completely different. Will Ospreay is going to put on a flip-de-doo match that makes even a chunky guy look like he can do flip-de-doos somehow.
Well, I mean, a perfect example of it, and I'm totally blanking on the name right now. It was a big deal not too long ago. The match, it was Bret Hart versus, what was his name? I'm Googling it.
Like old Bret?
Yeah, what do you mean? Not too long ago when you're mentioning a Bret match?
It was the Lost match. I'm trying to remember what it was because I'm going to sound stupid here. Tom McGee. That's right.
I didn't realize Bret was doing gray hair matches.
No, he wasn't. That's why I say it was a Lost match. Tom McGee.
Okay.
This match took place at a house show.
Oh.
Untelevised match at the Rochester War Memorial Arena in 1986. Tom McGee was someone chosen by... What?
This is like 30 years ago.
Yeah,
that's
30 years ago.
Definitely long ago.
Yeah, it's a long time. But the match, like I said, it's been a lost match. They didn't know there were tapes of it. And it just came out about a year ago. They found a tape of it.
Oh, wow.
And that's the thing. They even did a WWE Network special about it. So Tom McGee was chosen by Vince to be kind of the next big thing. And he had all the right things. He had the look. He was a built man. He had a great look, all of this stuff. And so they put him in an exhibition match with Bret Hart. And Bret Hart made the guy look like an absolute superstar. And the dude had absolutely no talent, right? And Bret Hart just carried him on his shoulders through this match and made him look like a superstar. Because that's what great wrestlers can do. They can take a person and build them up into a great match. Tom McGee ended up just floundering because not everyone else could do that, right? And I'm not trying to dog on anyone because I think Ray Traylor was a great wrestler, but he couldn't pull a 5-star match out of a Tom McGee, right?
No, you couldn't pull a 5-star match out of Ray Traylor.
Yeah, and that's the deal.
He could pull a better storyline though than most people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Big Boss Man. Yeah, I agree with you on that.
And so this
build a
Bret Hart
storyline.
versus Tom McGee is a perfect example. I'm not saying Alan Angels is Tom McGee. Alan Angels is probably 10 times the wrestler Tom McGee was, maybe more. But it's the same thing. It's an established star knowing that I've got to put this guy up on my shoulders a bit and carry him to a great match. And I'm not even saying 6 minutes was a great match, but showing him off, making him look big, because we don't want to just see squash match. Yes, they happen. They happen in real life. Mike Tyson in real sports made a career out of squash matches, right?
Sure.
Conor McGregor.
Chuck Liddell, Conor McGregor. Yeah.
But at
Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
But at the most part, Jake Hager. But at the most part, squash matches are not quite as fun to watch as a little bit more competitive matches. And that's what Omega said. He didn't take him to a 20-minute time limit draw. The guy didn't kick out of his finisher. He just said, hey, I'm going to make you look decent, right? That's all.
And when you talk about that, I mean, so think of the 20-minute time limit draw we have seen. That put over Darby Allin at a level I can't even begin to explain. We had a 10-minute draw that put over Jungle Jack.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got those time limit draws have put over people. And yes, this guy's not a signed wrestler, but that's how you put those guys over. You know, is somebody out there upset that Darby Allin went to a draw with Cody Rhodes?
Oh, I'm sure there is.
Yeah, I'm sure there is too. But at the end of the day, it was the right move, and it really built Darby Allin, and it made all of us fall in love with Darby Allin. And he's a wonderful face right now with the silent attitude. It's just great. Did Orange Cassidy coming in as the 22nd member of a 21-man battle royal put anybody over? It did. It sure didn't put over Tommy Dreamer, who got rid of him, you know, but it allowed us to feature Orange Cassidy and created at minimum two giant Orange Cassidy fans out of nowhere. From out of nowhere. Because I hadn't heard of him before that.
No. Yeah, and
anyway. You got to do that sometimes. I remember in 1996 when The Patriot beat Bret Hart.
Yeah.
And Patriot. Oh, horrible wrestler. But you know, it was a push that they were deciding to do at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
First match beats the world champion. What? Okay.
Yeah, see, and that's the sort of thing I can understand being angry about. But he didn't beat Kenny Omega. He didn't even come close to beating him. He just gave him a good match that lasted 6 minutes instead of 3 minutes. Whoop-dee-doo, right? Let's move on. Find something else to bitch about this, which I'm sure they will.
Which will be, Byron Saxton.
Yeah. He'll probably say something else like, for all intensive purposes.
You struggled to say that.
I have to think about it. I have to think hard to make sure I don't say it the right way. Anyways, we're gonna wrap up.
Anybody who says those things wrong, it's not a dog on you. It really isn't. It's a dog on a professional whose job it is to do that professionally.
I'm going to break in here really quickly to talk about our sponsor. I know you've heard me mention Anchor.fm before. It's by far the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain really quickly. It's free. You don't have to have any experience in advance to do it. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. They're going to distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, many other more, Google Podcasts, pretty much any place you can look for a podcast. And you can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It is everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So what are you waiting for? Go download the free Anchor app on the App Store or go to anchor.fm to get started. We're going to move on to misdemeanors. So I'm going to start off because I only have this one misdemeanor, and I alluded to it earlier, right? I'm not officially filing charges on it today, but if this whole Drake Maverick getting fired turns out to be a work, I am going to be so pissed off. And I'm going to be pissed off, but happy, but pissed off, right? Just because all it would serve to do is belittle the people who actually were fired, right? And I'd be happy for Drake Maverick to still have a job. I'm not saying I wouldn't, but I'm like, oh man, you turn it into a work. Just like, I'm already, as much as I'm happy that he still gets to wrestle these 3 final matches, gets to show off what he's capable of as kind of an audition for the indies and whatever. They're playing it up this whole story. They're talking about nonstop. He's got to win just to keep his job. But then they have him lose to Jake Atlas. And I'm not saying Jake Atlas isn't good.
I am.
He was fine. I don't think I think even without the firing, Drake Maverick should have been the one who won. With the firing, I understand them giving Jake Atlas the win. But this making it a whole storyline.
Jake Atlas is, a side note, Jake Atlas is the Byron Saxton of the 205 Live. He's so boring.
He's still developing his character, so I get it. But anyways, I just... it's in such poor taste to use the fact that this guy will soon be out of work as a storyline. Legitimately out of work. But it even in more poor taste to turn it into a work the entire time. So this is a lose-lose situation for WWE. They would have been better off just pretending that we didn't know that he'd been fired and just saying,
yeah,
he's wrestling.
I agree with you on this 110% because it felt like, well, I called you, it felt like a work. I was like, oh my gosh, there's a swerve. They're swerving with this. I cannot believe it. And, I was both excited and sad to see. The more I thought about it, the more I was excited at first. And then I was like, what garbage. And we haven't talked about this at all. But I just thought, how horrible is that to the people who actually got fired? Everybody has to be a swerve. The whole thing has to be a swerve, which would be just the worst storyline of all time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't disagree with you on that.
In related news, I'll air quote it, Tainara Conti, who was one of the people who got let go, she was an NXT barely got used on TV. Fairly talented girl. She, in an interview, has said that she requested her release 3 months ago and was told no. And that's part of what makes these firings so frustrating and angry to me is, you know, some of these people were unhappy there and they're better off going elsewhere. But Mike Bennett asked for his release and was told no. Tainara Conti asked for her release and was told no. Back when they had a chance to get jobs elsewhere, they were told no. And now that there's no jobs to be had, hit the bricks, go kick rocks. That makes me angry. That's part of what makes me so frustrated. But anyways, that's the end of my misdemeanors. Do you guys have any misdemeanors to talk about?
Well, I guess, I did mention Jerry Lawler before. Definitely a misdemeanor. Jerry Lawler making an excuse of, his reasoning for mentioning the ramen noodles. He says it wasn't intended to be racist. He then goes on to say that when he did commentating with Morrow in 2016, that Morrow would call something the Orange Crush, and because he didn't really know the move, so it was kind of just a joke between him and Morrow. And then he mentions as a heel commentator, heel commentators like Jesse Ventura and so on, we get that slack, and so he was just making all these excuses, and I was just like,
the thing is, right, Mauro Ranallo saying, oh, that's an Orange Crush because he doesn't know the name of the move is not the same thing, because no one is from Orange. Orange isn't designed, isn't designated to a specific nationality or race, right? But a ramen moonsault.
So I googled, okay, ramen noodles, where exactly is it from? We know Akira Tozawa is Japanese. I'm sure ramen noodles is Japanese, right? So I checked.
Chinese.
There's a debate there. So it's both, technically, because either way, it's Chinese, Japanese, it's somewhere there depending on who you ask. But at the end of the day, it's racist. Yeah. Because it's not like you called it the orange moonsault. You literally went towards his nationality.
Is ramen noodles, from what I'm, and this is, totally off thing, they were originally a Chinese dish that got imported into Japan, but they've been adopted and they're way more popular in Japan than China.
See, I heard they originated in Japan, but they had Chinese workers, and they implemented also a Chinese noodle and a different kind of boiling technique. They called it something else, and then they brought it to China. So there's just a crazy debate there that I don't think will ever get solved.
According to Wikipedia, it was started in Yokohama.
Yes.
We're referencing Wikipedia as the LPL.
Anyways,
you didn't do good in school. But I searched Wikipedia. Why don't I get an A? Because you sourced Wikipedia. Oh.
So anyway, wow, nice rant. Holy cow.
Thank you. Yep.
According to the Yokohama Ramen Museum, ramen originated in China and made its way over to Japan in 1859. Anyway.
This is still Wikipedia.
But that's my point is, if the whole point of the joke is referencing someone's origin, someone's race or nationality or religion, then it's racist or gender. Or gender. Yeah. It's either racist or sexist or it's just prejudiced, right? It's like years ago, a friend of mine and my brother, who is Jewish, and I were working at a radio station, and this new guy got hired, and the guy was dumb as a bag of bricks, right? And this
brag of bricks?
A bag of bricks. A brag of bricks. Dumb as a bag of bricks.
I heard brag. I'm sorry.
Dumb as a bag of bricks. And so my friend, by the way, his last name is Guardiola, so he is of Hispanic origin. This guy walks into the room with my brother, who is Jewish, and my Hispanic friend and me, and says, hey, I got a joke for you guys. A Jew and a Mexican walk into a bar. And my brother goes, wait. I'm going to stop you right there. You do realize that he's Mexican and I'm Jewish. And the guy goes, well, it's not a racist joke.
Oh boy.
Bro, if the fact that these people are Jewish and Mexican are important to the joke, then it's a racist joke. That's really what it comes down to. If you cannot tell the joke by saying two people walk into a... So, it's the same thing with this. He could have called it whatever he wanted to, but he went racist with it. And that's why it's worthy of a full crime in my book. But we'll give him a misdemeanor because he's a legend.
Whoa. So you're not even going to finish the joke?
He didn't finish the joke because we went off on how it was a racist joke. We didn't even let him finish.
Okay,
we ridiculed him out of the room. He went back to his other room with his head between his legs.
Boom. Just like that.
God, lucky fella. He can fit his head between his legs.
Yeah, that was more impressive than how stupid he was. Anyways, so we will move on to commendations.
I don't think I'd...
Oh, you didn't?
Okay.
You had one?
No, this would be a commendation anyway. So
okay, we'll move on to commendations. Who wants to go first? I'll let someone else go.
I'll go first on this one because it fits under both. I'm gonna give myself a misdemeanor for dogging on Shotzi in the women's gauntlet match. I'm the one who does the NXT reviews, or the NXT snap judgments. My snap judgment was Shotzi looks shotty sometimes when she's on the offensive. I think Smarks and I talked about this quite a bit. To me, Shotzi looks like she's afraid to do the offensive maneuvers until she knows the other person's prepared for them. This week, she was much better in the tag match. Her timing looked like it was good. So there's the commendation to her and the misdemeanor to me. Shotzi, you're improving. I do agree with Smarks. You are very marketable, so there's a big plus there. And her timing in the women's tag was about 80 times better than it was in the gauntlet match. So that's what I got. Commendation to Shotzi Blackheart for better offensive timing. Her defensive timing is exceptional. She can take a bump anywhere, anytime, any place. She does seem to care about whether or not she hurts people, which is an improvement over Nia Jax this week. Also a misdemeanor on that one.
Yeah. I was trying to not talk Nia Jax this week, but...
Well, you talked about it earlier when you
Sure didn't. Didn't. Nothing happened. La 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 la. I can mute you again. You know I can.
So anyway, Shotzi, great job this week. And Nia Jax, I think I'll throw one more misdemeanor in. Please do not concuss other wrestlers.
Oh my God, right? Like, I felt so bad for... I know she might be leaving WWE, but Jesus, you don't have to make her leave with a concussion.
Yeah, don't let her pressure. Let her walk out on her own.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like, what was that?
Well, it was supposed to be a buckle bomb. But she didn't throw her, she just dropped her.
Nope. All I saw was her almost breaking her neck into 1,000 pieces, and we would have... Oh, Jesus. I'm not going to say that's bad. I was going to mention it's going to be Owen Hart all over again, but that's wrong. You could probably cut that out.
If anything, it's more Stone Cold all over again.
Yeah.
But...
Against Owen,
yeah.
That's what he was referencing.
Jesus. That was what I was referencing. Thanks, guys.
See, I can't hear Owen Hart in any sort of tragedy and not immediately go to
the Blue Blazer
tragedy.
Just say Blue Blazer. Just leave it at that.
Yeah,
but
that's valid.
So
I have two.
Okay.
So one, I give accommodations to Asuka. I think this girl deserves her own radio show or TV show. Although we don't understand 80% of what she's saying, I am 100% entertained by what she does. Her rants when she's in the ring. It's just hilarious. Always a good time. She's always making me laugh, and I'm just happy I get to see her every Monday night. And I got
her with the I know.
That's it. It was just
so
hilarious. It was also another thing too that she did. Damn it, the days escaped me. But it was just spot on. Like, it was great. She's just entertaining. And I don't understand half of what she says, but I still love it. So there's no excuse why anyone can't get over without being able to talk on the mic, because Asuka does it no problem, but she just adds so much energy, and I love it, and she deserves all the credit in the world, and she should keep going with that. Second accommodation.
Accommodation.
You wanted to say something?
Accommodation.
Accommodation?
Commendation.
A commendation? This might be a Canadian thing.
Commendation. Just
okay. Commendation.
You're commending someone.
Oh
Right.
my God. It's like I'm having a conversation with Byron Saxton right now. Oh my God.
Giving him flashback.
My bad. My second commendation is going to go to Dana Brooke. I am happy that Dana Brooke is finally getting some kind of a push. I'm not a huge fan of her character, with her being too girly, but at the same time, it's working. So I am happy on that, and I am happy that she actually is going to the Money in the Bank, and I really hope she wins it, because this girl has put so much hard work into being there, and she's never really given anything, and god darn it, I want Dana Brooke to be champion. So let's get her done.
Anything's better than Bailey.
This is valid.
Who is better than Bailey? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, not anything. Tamina's not better than Bailey.
Yeah, true. You get a point for that. My commendations, I'm going to sound like a broken record. I've said this before. I'm giving a commendation to Impact Wrestling. And I know neither of you watched this, but if you can find a way to watch night one of their Rebellion, it was going to be their pay-per-view, but they just did empty arena show. They're doing 2 nights of it, last week and this week.
I feel like I saw one on the Fight Network or something. Maybe that
was so good.
Maybe in Canada where you can get the Fight Network.
Oh, snap. Well played.
So it started off with a 6-man tag match. Tommy Dreamer, Rhino versus OVE, which was Dave Chris, Jake Chris, and Madman Fulton, with a special guest, and it was the return of Crazy Steve, and I love Crazy Steve. I was so happy. You had a 3-way tag team match, the Rascals versus Falabala and TJP, and AC Romero and Larry D. That was good. Willie Mack defeated Ace Austin to become the X Division champion, which was great. Kylie Ray defeated Kieran Hogan in a phenomenal match with an STF. So good. And then they had a match that I did not think Impact Wrestling would have go the way it did. But it was an unsanctioned match. Ken Shamrock versus Sami Callihan. And they had Ken Shamrock win with Sami Callihan passing out. And it's such a brilliant thing because it's an unsanctioned match. Sami Callihan has gone this entire last week just on a rampage on Twitter about how I didn't tap out. It was an unsanctioned match, and the ref was like, well, I did what I was supposed to. You couldn't tap out. And he's like, it doesn't matter, right? It's unsanctioned. You shouldn't stop it for anything except for a submission or a pin. That's it.
That's a valid point.
So it set up a great storyline, and that's just night 1 of it. They've still got night 2 coming with more stuff coming up this week on Tuesday night. So that's why I'm giving it a commendation. It was a phenomenal night. Go find a way to watch it, if only to watch the Kylie Ray match, because it's phenomenal, and the Sami Callihan part, which was great. Sami Callihan is a great wrestler for them. He's developed his character so well. You know, he did not succeed in NXT as Jeremiah Crane, I think was his name there. But he's gone on and he made a great character of himself. So that's my commendation. I'm not going to go too far onto it because I've talked about Impact Wrestling and you guys think I'm crazy, but it seriously is low-key some of the best wrestling you'll find on TV any day of the week. So
wow.
Speaking of Loki, is he still there?
Last time I checked, he was still involved, but he hasn't been in many matches. I think he's doing a lot overseas right now, or has been. I don't know. Anyway, my other commendation is for Cody for the phenomenal promo that started Dynamite off, and I didn't even talk about it in my Dynamite review because there was so much other stuff to talk about. But Cody did this promo starting it off. He sat down in a chair in almost like a Batcave control room with like 5 monitors in front of him, that were showing different matches and stuff like this. And he's going over the TNT title tournament. It's a lot of T's. And all of this stuff, and who his potential, because at the time the matches hadn't taken place, but who his potential opponents will be and all of this stuff. And he just, it was so well done. At one point he even mentioned, he said, did I break the throne because I was afraid to sit in it? Talking about how he needs a championship, saying he's destined to be a mid-carder. It was so well done. I've said it before, I seriously think Cody delivers hands down some of the best promos in the game. And this was a phenomenal one.
Am I crazy, or was the audio kind of weird on it?
It was a bit, but I think that was more technical issues, not directly related to him. I think with the pre-recording and all of that stuff, they might have had some issues come up, but it was still such a promo.
I just feel, though, like every time they do those kind of promos, like whether it's in the limo or whatever, there's just always these audio issues, and I feel like, you've been doing this for a hot minute. Like,
if I were to bet money, I would bet that was recorded in his basement at his house, not in a studio.
No, but look at Jericho's promo. Jericho's was recorded just outside his thing, and that was perfect. It was fine. You heard everything. It was golden. It was good. So
basements have echoes. It's why we have these microphones set up in certain ways to not echo in doing this podcast. If I flip a switch here and put it on omnidirectional, you're going to hear all sorts of echoes in this. I would bet hard money that he didn't have a film crew or anything like that. He basically just set a camera up and recorded it there because he didn't have the option to get better. And that's why I give it a pass right now. I think that same promo in a non-COVID time would have had a lot better audio, and we wouldn't be talking about the audio. So I look past it myself. But I'm more talking just about the promo itself. I don't care about the audio issues because the promo itself won me over, period.
I also don't get why he wouldn't just have a mic clip. Like, maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. But yeah, fair enough. No. We can't be blaming on them. But I just feel like I'm not interested in their promos because they're just, not all of them, but some of them, because the audio just sucks and I'm just weirded out.
Your audio sucks. Sorry. I got defensive all of a sudden.
Yep, you sounded like a Twitter angry person.
I'm going to tweet about it. The rest of this week, all of my tweets are going to start off with, JLB's audio sucks.
I believe it.
Well, anyways, on that note, we will move on to what everyone has been waiting for. If you made it this far in this podcast, it is time to announce the big announcement. We are actually having a contest.
Hey!
It is a Twitter contest. It's going to be a tweet to win. The rules are simple. Tweet out a link to one of our episodes on whatever podcast platform you use. I don't care if it's Apple, Spotify, Google, Podbean, whatever. Just tweet a link to the episode. Make sure to hashtag it. Hashtag Raw and Order WBU. Talk about it. Say whatever you want to. Say good things, hopefully. That's the plan.
What do they win, Smarks? What do they win?
At the end of the week, we will randomly pick a winner to win not just one of our brand new WBU t-shirts. They will also get their choice of shirts from Pro Wrestling Tees shop of your choice. Done whatever wrestler you want. We would encourage you to use it for one of the recently let go wrestlers or one of the currently not wrestling wrestlers. So either an indie wrestler, one of the people who's been recently released, but it's going to be your choice. So you will win 2 t-shirts, right? One of ours and the Pro Wrestling Tees t-shirt of your choice. Up to $30 value on that t-shirt from Pro Wrestling Tees because we ain't made of money. But
what do they need to do again, Smarks?
Just tweet a link to one of our episodes. You can do this one, this very one you're listening to now, and hashtag it, hashtag Raw and Order WBU. Say good things, hopefully. Not required. I can't legally require you to say good things. You can say this podcast is crap. But tweet it out. We're going to keep a list. And here's the cool thing. Unfortunately, it's limited to North America only for right now, shipping concerns. But the cool thing is you can enter as often as you want. You can tweet out every episode you listen to in a day. You can tweet out.
You can make every tweet you talk about hashtag Raw and Order WBU.
As long as you put a link to one of our episodes in there.
You could talk about Tammy Lynn Sitch's new
OnlyFans
venture.
Now you give.
As long as you put one of our links in there, then you certainly can.
Yeah, talk about whatever you want. So that is the thing. Like I say, limited to North America only for now. We're hoping to get a European version of our shop opened up soon, but at the moment we just have the North American one, so shipping just in the North American continent. But yes, tweet it out. Give that hashtag. I'm going to keep track. At the end of the week, we're going to do it. And this contest may be repeated. We might do it again next week. We might do it the week after that. So keep these coming. You make this one big to make it...
himself.
Yeah. Make this one big. If this one is big and gets enough response, we'll continue doing this. If this one just, we get a few entries or whatever, it's not worth it. We're not going to do it again, right? So make it a big one.
I might add, you also did just mock all of Twitter on this episode.
That's fine. You can mock me on your tweet as long as it links to an episode of this show. And has that hashtag at Raw and Order WBU. I'm fine with it.
I do tell everybody on my podcast or on the NXT review to mock you on Twitter. So I hope it's happening.
Fine. You don't get to be a detective in the WBU without being able to take a little bit of mocking. You got to work your way up from a beat cop in the WBU all the way up to sergeant, and then you get promoted to detective. I don't even know how these things work. I'm just making crap up.
It's strange you were never a sergeant.
No, I went straight to detective. I was an officer and then a detective. Anyways, but so that's the contest. Make it big. Get our name out there. Tweet it out. Tweet out a link to this episode. Tweet out a link to the Raw review. Tweet out a link to the AEW review, the NXT review, the FBI. Go back and listen to last week's and tweet those out. Get our name out there. We want to keep this growth up.
Speaking of growth, did you mention to everybody what our growth? I mean, we've had some pretty serious numbers, so I want to give one last commendation, even though we didn't do this during commendations, and I want to give a commendation to our listeners because, wow, the growth we have experienced. Yeah, that's a fast clap, not even a slow clap. The growth we've had over the last couple weeks. Thank you to all of the listeners. Thank you to the original listeners. Thank you to the new listeners. Thank you to everybody. And that's really what this contest is about, is telling all of you thank you. Because without you guys, this is just the phone calls that it was, 6 months ago when Smarks and I were talking. We don't even get the opportunity to meet our wonderful Canadian friend. I feel I'm almost humbled. Well, no, I'm not almost humbled. I am completely and 100% humbled by our listeners. And I do want to say thank you to everybody. So that's the commendation that we should have given at the beginning of the commendations, but I wanted to wait till now.
Yep.
Well
so, go ahead.
No, I just said well said.
But so on that note, we will start to wrap this up. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter. You can follow me at Raw and Order WBU. You can follow DA Fabe at
DA Vincent K. Fabe.
And of course, Justin is found at
JLB420, and the brand is Real Talk Radio at Real Talk Radio 8. Anchor.fm/RTR is where you can find all my social doobly-doos. Damn it, it's in my head now. Like, use it, and I just can't get it out. And yeah, that is me. Thank you guys for another great episode.
Yes, it was fun. Thank everyone for listening. Like DA Fabe said, I truly am humbled and appreciative of every single one who's been listening from the beginning, still listening now, everyone who just started listening. It's great. We've been heard in over 11 countries last time I checked, which is crazy to think our voices are going out that far with this, and it's growing every day.
We know
so,
coast to coast like butter and toast, baby.
That's right. You know that's right. But so like, share, and subscribe. Make sure to give us a rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you can rate us. That also helps more people hear us. But we will close the book on this episode. Thank everyone for listening. We will see you soon with the Raw review and then the visit from the FBI. Thank y'all.